Hey everyone! Today I'm here with Sergio, an Unger Academy student who wants to tell us about his experience with our training program. Hi Sergio, how are you doing?
Hi, very well, as always.
Well, I'm glad you're here with us. So,
Thank you.
first I'd like to ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, your profession, and your hobbies.
Well, I'm a project manager for a multinational logistics company, and I like to do that. And then I have different hobbies. I have some guitars back there, I play the guitar, and nothing else, let's put it that way. Then, of course, trading is now somewhere between a hobby and a job, so it's okay. It's mainly those three things.
Good. And what problem did you have before joining our program?
Well, I already knew how to program trading strategies, so that's something that I was already familiar with. The problem was, let's say, how to combine the trading strategies. In the sense that you have 2 to 3 brilliant strategies, you combine them, and they have a drawdown and win at the same time. Usually you always catch the drawdown at the same time. So that was something that I had a hard time, let's say, putting together. The trading strategies and the Unger method to create the trading strategies are certainly something that I didn't know before, and they really helped me improve my performance. Also, the reverse approach that's taught here is generally not what is sold in other courses. So, but I don't want to reveal too much.
Great. And why did you choose our program out of all the programs available on the market?
Well, I knew Unger. I knew about him because he had given a series of free webinars, so I liked him as a person, and that certainly helped. I saw that he's a smart person. He's an engineer, and I'm also an engineer. Not that it would make a difference, but I felt a slight affinity, let's say. And then I couldn't do Larry Williams' course, so I took Unger's program.
Okay, is there anything in particular in our program that helped you? In other words, why was it so effective?
Absolutely, yes. First of all, building strategies has improved significantly, so that's a start. How to combine strategies, how to evaluate drawdown, and how to evaluate performance, in short. And how and what to expect, let's say, from the trading world. That's something you definitely won't find anywhere else. In my opinion, at least. I have taken a few other courses in the past. But let's say that this mathematical approach, well, it's more based on basic concepts than on mathematics. Anyway, this approach is certainly something that helps you. Without a doubt, I think that the world of trading is, well, 99% crap and 1% good. So that is a very small portion. Not so easy to find. And Unger Academy, they're that 1%, at least from my perspective.
Absolutely, yes.
I'm glad I chose this course.
So, okay, thank you. What were the results after you applied what you'd learned in the program, in particular the various modules that you studied?
Let's see. As soon as I joined, I followed the program in 2020, namely in the last 3 months of 2020. I started in 2021 and I was just so full of enthusiasm until, well, I had a 25% drawdown, 30% at the very beginning. I didn't really start on the right foot. When you're at the beginning, you tend to underestimate a whole bunch of things that you think that you know, but don't. And you also lack a little bit of experience, let's say, with the platforms. I use multi-charts, TradeStation, and Interactive Brokers as setups. And there are some things that you struggle with in the beginning. You may have developed the best strategies in the world and used Titan to set them up well. But there are some things that you don't know or can't predict. For example, TradeStation disconnects every night, and you need to find out why. Or you've used it wrong, let's say. You've got 4 strategies for the same instrument, and the synchronization is wrong. These are all things that come up over time. Anyway, if I remember correctly, I ended up with 20 to 25% the first year. The second year, things went much better. I got to 60% at some point. In the end, I was more or less at 50 to 60%. In short, I was delighted and risked, let's say, very little. Because more or less, as a daily risk, I'd never went beyond 1.5, 1.75, say 2%, only when I felt very excited, let's say. But in short, there is a lot of work to be done. People tend to underestimate the work that needs to be done. Even I did that. It's not guaranteed that you'll be a millionaire after the course. I'm still here. I'm not in Dubai. But if you like it, you don't feel the effort. It isn't effort, fatigue, and so on, right? It's something you do, let's say, because you want to do it. In short, I'm delighted with my performance so far. I could do better. I could have done better if I hadn't made the mistakes I made. But hey, that's how things go.
And how have things changed for you since you achieved these results? That is, when you started to see success in your trading.
Well, in the beginning, I had a bad drawdown phase. And then I had a fantastic gain phase. And then it leveled off, okay? So during the drawdown phase, I was very dejected. And then when I started to gain, I became the new Wolf of Wall Street, like in the movie. And then I calmed down and said, well, it isn't bad now. I don't have to waste much time on it. Okay, relatively little time, because I'm constantly checking the platform to make sure that everything's okay, that there are no infrastructure issues and so on and so forth. But let's say that I am more relaxed now. I started with a few small trades, like buying stocks, like most people, I think. And it was so very stressful. You never know when to get in. And when you get in, it seems like it's too late. And you're convinced that you're getting in at a certain price level, while instead you get in 42 ticks above that. So now it's much better, more restful, more relaxing.
But does the path also prepare you psychologically to go live or to face?
Well, in my opinion, yes. But there are some things that you have to experience first, and then you realize how it is. Because, I don't know, everybody tells you that psychology is the main thing, but it isn't. Because if you're in a good mood anyway, but still have the strategies to lose, you keep losing. But don't get too discouraged when you see the first drawdowns, or, don't get too excited when things go too well, because then you might have done something wrong. In my case, for example, I started risking a little too much, and that wasn't good for me. To put it that way, I corrected myself before I experienced a second drawdown phase. But let me say that, in my opinion, the course prepares you and gives you a comprehensive idea of what you will find and how it works. It makes you 100% independent, because it is true that there are a lot of things that you have to do to try out for yourself. But really, it's like in driving school. You learn by driving around the block, right? And one day you're going on the highway, and you're there alone, driving. So that's it.
Of course, autonomy is super important. You want to feel safe while you're driving, right?
Yes, that's right. That's part of the game, let's say.
Yeah, so where do you imagine you would be now if you hadn't chosen to join our program?
Well, I think I would be with some colleagues, and perhaps we would be buying these Tesla stocks that are going up. Something like that. Or maybe I would have stopped. I don't know. I mean, I didn't spend much time before playing with stocks or something like that, so I can't tell you. But in my opinion, after the first couple of negative blows, you stop. Because there's no point in standing there and losing money on something you don't understand, right? So who knows? Oh, just thank goodness I followed the program.
Okay. And finally, I'm going to ask you, what would you say to those who are watching this interview and maybe are still undecided about whether or not to join our program?
Well, I would say take the course, because the course is worth it. Of course, you have to be motivated, because you can forget it if you aren't. But you have to be motivated. You have to learn a lot, and you can't be discouraged when the first blows come. And the most important thing is that when you have studied and done your first things, not everything you've done is necessarily gold. In short, you have to expect that there will be hiccups, potholes, and so on. But with a lot of perseverance and, shall we say, tenacity, you will make it. And I can tell you that. I did it. Anyone can do it.
Great. Okay, well, thank you very much, Sergio, for your time, and I wish you happy trading.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.